Yo, what is up everyone? It's Josh again. I hope you've been doing well and thanks for taking a look at this video. So today we're celebrating a very special day. It's the 25th anniversary of Pokemon. I remember myself as a kid, Pokemon was probably one of the very first things I've ever been excited about. I was about 6 years old when Pokemon first started airing on TV, and I think my first video game was Pokemon Blue for the Game Boy Pocket, as well as the trading cards. I remember trading with friends, opening packs, and that was always fun, and I still enjoy that till today. And it's been awesome to see generations for the past 25 whole years still excited about Pokemon as I was back then. So today I really want to celebrate that, and we make cables, so I'm gonna make a cable inspired by that. And our inspiration today, our muse, will be good old Pikachu, our yellow friend. Whether you're a fan of the old school or new school, we have Chonky Juice, or we like the new school, Shiny Pikachu, I guess. I don't know. These are all cool and all, but today we're making Cable Pikachu. Here he comes. Pikachu's a he, right? So today I'm going to show you in this video the whole build of how this cable was put together. And I don't know if you like videos like this, but I plan to do like these builds in the future, so let me know in the comments below. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you aren't already, and leave a like if you like it at any point of this video. But anyways, with that being said, let's hop right into this build. I'm going to go ahead and start sleeving the Coiled cable. The Coiled cable is going to be inspired by the character design of Pikachu, and specifically the back area. So on Pikachu's back, there are two very distinct brown stripes. And I thought it would be a really cool idea to kind of represent that using the coil. So here I'm actually using two 2-foot strands of yellow paracord, one 1-foot strand of yellow paracord, as well as two 1-foot strands of brown paracord, and I'll be alternating them to kind of represent Pikachu's back, and I think it's very iconic, and I think the coil is a good place to do that. To merge these different colors together, I'm actually using a very clean and a hot soldering iron. There are definitely other options and methods to do this a little more cleanly. When I'm working with very fun one-off projects like this has been a really consistent way to do this, as well as it leads to acceptable results. The only issue is that you have to do this for each end. If you're only doing two colors, it's not as hard, but here I'm doing, what is this, five different strands. So each of those ends I'll need to do the same process. Okay, so next up I'm gonna go ahead and use clear Tech Flex. I'm not a huge fan of this stuff because, as you'll see, it kind of like distorts the color and makes it a little more opaque. But for the sake of this project here, I thought it would just be a nice way to get the most yellow as possible, as well as give it some more rigidity to make the coil that I'm working on really strong. So I'll be sleeping this all with clear Tech Flex. Next off, we're gonna work on coiling. So I'm using a 1/2-inch rod and I'm coiling it. I have a little clamp that I use to kind of keep it in place. If you want to learn more about that, let me know in the comments. So I'm going to go clamp this up, make sure it's all secured. And I actually do prefer to use electrical tape in the heating process. There's a lot of people who say like, oh, there's residue and it leaves it behind, but for me, I've never had a problem with it. I use this Amazon electrical tape and it's never given me residue or left anything behind. And I also use these clamps to kind of give me like a little right angle at the end of my coils. So you'll see here, I'll just tape it off and it should be all good to go, and then cut off any excess that I have there. Then I'm going to tape it up and go ahead and heat it up. Next up, I'm going to go work on the long end while my coil is cooling off. So for the long end of the cable, I'm just going to mimic Pikachu's tail. The closest part of the tail to the back is actually a little brown, and then the rest of it's yellow. So I'm just going to do a simple 2-color merge here. And I'm going to go ahead and also sleeve this with clear tech flex to match the other side of the cable. Alright, so I'm using a electroplated red Aviator. When I think about Pikachu, I think about the red cheeks, and I think this is a good way to represent the red cheeks of Pikachu. So I'm going to go ahead through this whole part of stripping the cable. And then I'm going to get this Aviator as well as USB-A side installed on this long end of the cable. Alright, now we have our long end done, and we can go back to the coil as it's cooled off from the heating. We're going to go ahead and take everything off to make sure it's loosened from the rod that I've been using here. And see, we have a pretty nice right angle at the end of our coil, as well as a pretty decent and consistent coil in general, so I'm pretty happy about that. So I'm actually going to use a USB-C for this cable here. And I'm just always making sure that everything is sized properly. There's a lot of various things to be very precise about to make sure all your measurements are correct and make sure that everything's even as possible. So I always like to double check with the various parts I'm using, basically all the connectors as well. So I'm going to do the same process that I did on the long end of the cable. I'm going to install the female side of the Aviator as well as our USB-C connector. Very standard stuff here. If you haven't checked out one of the other videos showcasing this DIY cable, it's basically doing the same thing as a regular non-coiled USB cable, but this is just a funner way to kind of do this and make sure it's fresh and keeping things fun for making cables, because it can get pretty tedious making the same cables over and over again. So working on something like this has been really fun. And here's me forgetting to add the housing of the Aviator before working on this. It happens to all of us, but at least you learn your lesson. Yeah, it's about here where I realized I messed up. So there we go. We have it on now, and now we're in business. We're almost done with this cable. I think this is the last part of the soldering work. So once this is completed, we can go ahead and close everything up, get all the heat shrink on, and we should have a done and finished cable. Here's our final product here, our finished cable. We have our striped back coil, as well as red aviators to represent the cheeks, black heat shrink on the USB-C to kind of represent the top of the ears, as well as yellow all around, just because Pikachu is a lovely yellow character, and I hope you really enjoyed this video.